Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Industry Influencers. I have the fantastic, wonderful, great friend and now business friend as well, Lauren Midgley. She is a productivity coach. She has a book and she speaks and she does coaching. So Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Trey.
So glad to have you on the show today. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your background and how you got involved with productivity coaching?
So I got involved with productivity coaching based on my view of looking at who were successful people and who were not. And I felt that those that were really successful had time figured out. They knew what they were going to do, they got it done, they executed, they focused, and it seemed like they had it all together. That they had it all together. Reality is they may not have, or they were working at it. But to me, that kind of separated out people who were really successful and not, that they saw the value of time in their life. And I like to say that if you're using time to feed your soul and feed your values, feed your family, feed your business, then, and it's all coming together, then you're using time in the right way. So as I observed all that, I thought, that's really interesting. So when I left corporate in 2010, I decided that that was my topic. The other part that came into play on that, Trey, was truly that if you look at my strength finders, my top 5, it's maximizer, activators in there, focus is in there.
Yeah.
And so I'm naturally wired that way. And what I realized though was that even though I get stuff done and I'm known for that, not everybody finds that to be natural.
Interesting.
And so I thought, well, that's my gift. It's something that's natural for me that I can help others who may not find it as easy. So if I can break it down for them and help them and make it more easy in their life, why not? That's how I really got started with that.
That's really cool. Well, I know that, like, first of all, productivity is something that a lot of us struggle with.
Yep.
You know, especially when you can, on the same computer you're working on, just switch to Netflix, and that turns into like a 3-episode break and then a 4-episode break.
Right.
And it's like, no, I got to sit back on track, got to work. So I think that it's great that there's someone like you that's passionate and just gifted in the area that can equip and enable someone to be more productive and be successful in that space.
Because in reality, when you're, let's say, cranking at your computer and you're doing editing and you do your gift of what you do really well, do you need that Netflix break? The answer is yes, in that you need some break after some period of time because your brain is just going to be like not firing on all cylinders if you go too long. So you do need that break. So your break might be, all right, I need to flip over to Netflix, catch an episode, or I need to get up and I need to walk around, or I need to put some music in, listen to music for 5 minutes, and then get back on track. The issue is, as you said, with most people is like, okay, and Netflix is good at, getting us to click into the next one and the next one. But it's like, okay, but it's that intentionality of saying, okay, I can do just one and then get back on track and then do that for 60, 90 minutes. And then I get episode 2, that kind of thing. So.
Well, it seems like, I think there's something really cool to that because you acknowledge that that's valid and that is an appropriate way. It's just sometimes you just need to take a step back, but it's the discipline to get back involved after you've had that breather.
And that's the hardest part. That's where we trip ourselves up or where we go off track. And then we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm on episode 4 of Netflix, type thing. And 3 hours have passed by or 2 hours have passed by. So, So that's kind of what I work with people on as to how do you get that discipline, acknowledge the attraction over here or the distraction, whatever it might be.
Yeah. So that's really interesting, Lauren. So kind of, why don't you, because I know, because we've talked about it, but I don't know if they know, what does it look like to be a productivity coach? What does your business look like? How do you help people with that?
So how I help people, Trey, is that I meet with individuals, meet with business owners, and work with them to identify where there might be areas in their calendar, in their life, where they're not getting done what they want to get done. When I ask the question of people, what's missing in your life? What do you not have time for? People will give me an immediate answer. And the question then is, do you want to work on that? And, a lot of times I find people won't change if they just think about something and don't work on it. So as a coach, I work with people intimately to say, how do we figure out to get you what you want rather than spending time on what you don't want. So I do one-on-one consulting. I have workshops. I do speaking, professional speaking, where I speak to groups on this topic. And obviously I've written books and blogs regarding it. But the key thing, yes, my book it's 6 a.m. and I'm already behind strategies to get caught up. And the idea behind this was to be a really easy book to read and not implement all your strategies. I had one lady that said, Lauren, there's 1 or 2 strategies I really like. It's working for me. Do I need to worry about the other 28? I said, no, just do the 1 or 2 that works.
Just
right?
find what works, right?
Yeah. So for me, I'm just passionate about people not being able to truly use their time well. And then the flip side on that, Trey, is that a lot of people I run into are overwhelmed and they're overcommitted and sometimes just truly frantic. And I hate to see that. Yeah. And I ask them, do you want to work on that? And when they say they want to work on it, I say, let's get started.
Well, this will be interesting then. I know that you're a business coach and you've spoken on this before. How did you get established with your business, and what challenges came from starting to move in that area?
So when I started my business, I encountered a lot of challenges, and I will tell you, time was a challenge because I had been working in corporate. I had defined hours. I had a certain place to be at a certain time. When you become an entrepreneur, the calendar is wide open and you get to fill it. You get to figure out what matters most right then. And so in the early stages, there was some challenges of, what do I need to do? And I always like to say, it's not so much what you need to do, but what do you need to do first? So it's really the sequencing. What needs to happen first? Well, when you're starting a business, what do you need first? You really need clients. You need some marketing. You need some things, you need cash flow to be happening. Yeah. And so part of that was to say, how do I go get clients? And how do I take my time how do I structure my time so that I do focus on business development? And what do I need to do to make that happen? Challenges that came a little bit later was once I had the clients, then it was, I can't do everything. And I needed to outsource, and I need to bring in the team and people that would help me, things that I did not do well, such as website development, graphic design, headshots, photo shots, that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. And so it was the letting go of saying, okay, I need to keep my time preserved for what I do best, which is being in front of the client or go finding them, and then offload all this other. And the hardest part that I think with entrepreneurs early on is your mindset says, but I don't have the money to go, build the team. But you've got to find that way to make that happen so that you can.
Yeah, that's interesting. It seems like there's a couple different steps that entrepreneurs take with that initial launch and then with the scaling.
Yes.
And it's in both of those steps in both of those seasons where there's those opportunities for growth and for learning.
Right.
There's that challenge.
Right.
And it's true of figuring out, okay, how do I do this? Who do I call? How do I scale? But it seems like from what you're saying that you've been able to figure that balance out, and you've had those relationships in place where you've been able to, with what we have here in the back, it's your website, you have your headshots. And
it's a process, and it's kind of like, what do you need now? So part of it, I see sometimes business owners will be working on something way more complex than what their business requires right at that time. So sometimes you really do have to start with the basics. So what is it that I really need? As a business coach, consultant, I needed the website, right? I needed the content. I needed to start blogging, which I did. Yeah. But if I started working on more complex tasks instead of those basics, then that's when you kind of get all sideways. And I think that's when a lot of people, entrepreneurs, find it hard and they stop doing what they're doing and they go back and find that job or whatever. They don't sustain the business. So it's really truly understanding what are the basics I need to do. Then from there, what's the next set of basics, and then kind of build from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I don't want to give away any of the stuff that people can I don't want to give away your content too, but I think from what you're saying in productivity, there's an element of prioritization.
Yep.
To find out what are your essentials and work on those first. First of all, so you have a clear mind,
Yeah.
because you did what you needed to do.
Yes.
But then with that clear mind, you have some breathing room to be able to like, all right, how much time do I need to appropriate to these more complicated tasks and figure those out individually.
And the other thing I think early on that one of the challenges that I found that I recommend is taking time to find that mentor who can help you. Somebody who is not 5 miles ahead of you, but just a few steps ahead of you that either will meet with you. I mean, it is worth the time for them because they might help you with those sequencing steps. What do I really need to focus on that's basic that, again, you don't have a business unless you have clients and cash flow. Because once you have clients, once you have cash flow, then the rest will follow, right?
Sure.
But how do I go get those clients? How do I get that cash flow coming in consistently? And so taking time to find a mentor to help you with that really does make a difference.
And I'm assuming since you're sharing it, you have found a mentor.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and it's I like to say the mentor that I had in my first year of business in 2010 is not the same true mentor that I have today. Our mentors will change as we go forward. And so it's like, what do you need? What does that person know? And how can you build a mentor relationship and spend the time to make that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, I want to honor the Trey Group. Thank you so much, Trey Group, for being our location sponsor. We are always so grateful to have you. If you are interested in having branding services for showcasing your brand on the go or at a showcasing event, make sure to check out the TreyGroup.com or visit the Carrollton location here because they have some really fantastic setups. And they're always renovating, always coming up with new tech to be able to present your brand and make it engaging. So thank you, Trey Group, and make sure to check them out. So Lauren, tell me now. What's like 3 things that you want to share with the audience today to help them be more productive or that they can apply to like their business to help them get them started or to grow?
So I have a mantra. I have 3 things, and I'll break it into really easy, 6 words, 3 things.
Okay.
So the first is be intentional. That really truly be intentional with your time. When you wake up in the morning, say, this is what I want to get done today, and I intentionally go forward with that because here's what will happen. You're either going to be distracted by yourself with Netflix on your computer, or you're going to be distracted by others. But sometimes those distractions are okay, but it's like, how do you be intentional of, I know what I need to get done today, and I go to bed tonight and I feel good about what I got done. So that's the first one. Second is do less. The do less means not to be a slacker, because I know, Trey, you're not a slacker. You are not a slacker, and I'm sure your audience is not a slacker either. But the idea here is, how can you do less and get the same result or better? And my belief is that we are overcommitted. We say yes to way too many things, and we know when we say yes and we really mean no. So how do we do less? How do we meet with fewer clients and still get the job done? How do we send out fewer emails? How do we have fewer meetings? How do we have fewer phone calls? So that, and it goes to the third thing, and the third thing is that we can live more. Because ultimately, we're human beings, we're human doings, but ultimately, if I were to ask you, if there's one thing, Trey, that you want to get in your life that you're not doing right now, I would bet you that 90% your answer would be something personal. And that leads to live more, meaning you can live more doing the personal things that you really enjoy, and and some of it's true. I mean, it's just a common fact. We want to do things where we live more, we're happier, and we enjoy life. So to me, the 3 things are: be intentional, do less, and live more. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And those are cards, aren't they?
These are greeting cards, and they are available on my website.
Hey, check it out.
Yeah.
So that's so cool. Well, Lauren, I think there's a lot of really great content and information in there. And honestly, I think that's something that we can all apply to our lives in some capacity, just making sure that we're intentional with our lives to do less and honestly live more. I actually use that naturally without having to think about it. Way to go, girl.
It's easy. It's an easy callback. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Cool.
Right.
So Lauren, how can people reach out if they want to learn more about your services or get you for coaching or speaking?
So the best way is my website, laurenmidgley.com, LaurenMidgley.com, and just reach out to me. My phone number's there, my email's there, and we'd love to have a conversation.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Thank
You're
you,
such
Trey.
a joy to have on. So.
Thank you. You're a delight.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you guys for always being a fantastic audience and for tuning in today. So we really appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure to like and subscribe because we have a new industry influencer every week. Whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
So, So hope you guys have a great rest of your week and we will see you all next time.
Great.
See you guys.